Make sure y'all stay on point with
The Puncher's Point. What is good, y'all? Welcome back to The Puncher's Point. The main event of the Fatal Fury card. We already talked about Tiafimo and Ara Barboza. We already talked about Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez. Now, the main event. We got Ryan Garcia returning to the ring after his year suspension due to testing positive for PEDs. And he's going up against Rolly Romero. Now, with that being said, both of these guys, let me tell you something. Both of these guys are a lot more similar than people think. Obviously, like I said, all three of these fights, the main attractions have been Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Ryan Garcia. Rolly Romero, obviously, him being as funny as he is, and obviously him being the personality that he is, he's drawn some attention too. But this card has been made for those three, and specifically for Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney because they win their fights come May 2nd, and most likely we're going to see the rematch between those two. But with that being said, as far as Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero, both of these guys are similar in a lot more ways than people think. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. But overall, let's start off with the breakdown for Ryan Garcia. We're going to start off with the strength. So for me, the most clear strength that you can point to for Ryan Garcia, he's got lightning fast hands. I mean, for the longest time that we have been watching Ryan Garcia, I mean, a lot of us, if you're around like the age that I am, I'm 24 years old. If you're around my age and you start seeing Ryan Garcia grow up before your very eyes. And obviously he's older than me, so like it doesn't make no sense. But regardless, if you were watching boxing back in 2017, 2018, Ryan Garcia was the guy that we were watching, and we could tell that this guy was going to be a star. He was already a star before he was even a main event fighter. Obviously, social media, he was all around that. But this is the peak form of Ryan Garcia, I would say. But for the longest time, he's always had some of the fastest hands in boxing. I could argue that he has the fastest hands in boxing. His left hook, I mean, let me say this. I mean, both of his hooks are deadly and extremely powerful. I mean, we've seen what those hooks can do against Devin Haney. We've seen what those hooks were able to do against a lot of guys. I mean, even Fortuna, we can't forget about that knockout that he had against him. Ryan Garcia has always had the best hooks in the game, in my opinion. I mean, let's be real. When he hits you with one of those hooks, it is night night. And a lot of guys they don't last after getting hit with a Ryan Garcia hook. But specifically that left hook has always been a probably his biggest tool. I will say that. It's probably his biggest tool in the toolbox. However, we can't also forget about the right straight that Ryan Garcia throws as well. I mean, people could say what they want about Ryan Garcia. For the longest time, they were saying he's one-dimensional, he's a C-class fighter. You could say all those things, but let me tell you something. You get hit with that left hook or you get hit with that right straight, it don't matter how one-dimensional you think Ryan Garcia is. If he hits you with any of those two punches, most likely you are going to be on the canvas. So I do believe that regardless of whatever you think about Ryan Garcia, don't get hit with those two punches because if you do, you're going to be in a world of trouble. The other thing about him is he can hurt anybody with any punch. And that's why I never liked the fact that people would say Ryan Garcia is a C-class fighter because he can hurt you to the body. Example, Luke Campbell. He can hurt you with hooks. Example, Devin Haney. He can hurt you with any type of punch that he wants. Oscar Duarte, that's another fight that you can go and look at. The truth is, Ryan Garcia, he can hurt you with any punch that he chooses to hurt you with because Ryan Garcia is that guy. He is that strong. I know it don't look like it, but Ryan Garcia, let me tell you something. When he gets going, it's hard to shut off that flame. When he's on fire, it's just hard to take him out. So what I will say is, even though I do like his left hook and his right straight the most, watch out for any punch he can throw. You got to constantly be aware when you're fighting in the ring with Ryan Garcia. The other thing about Ryan Garcia, he's patient with his check hooks as well. That was a strength that he demonstrated in the Devin Haney fight. And I think it's a strength that he's developed recently under the tutelage of uh, Derek James. Derek James has done great with Ryan Garcia. You can already see the improvements with Ryan Garcia. He didn't look one dimensional in that Devin Haney fight. Obviously, he didn't look his best, but he didn't really look one dimensional in the Oscar Duarte fight. A lot of people could say what they want, but Ryan Garcia is improving as a boxer under Derek James, and I'm glad that he is able to have Derek James in his corner again. I do believe that is the best trainer for him as of right now. He's got a very good back step. See, the thing is, I don't like Ryan Garcia when he's constantly backpedaling, but I will say this. There's been many times where he sets up that counter where he just takes a little bit of a step back, and it's just enough to get his opponent to overreach just a little bit for him to land a counter. And for me, that is one of Ryan Garcia's biggest strengths. That's always been one of Ryan Garcia's biggest strengths. It's his ability to force guys to overreach just a little bit for him to counterpunch them. And then last but not least, he is just athletically gifted. I mean, me personally, I truly believe that Ryan Garcia is just an athletically gifted fighter. He has the strength, he has the speed. Obviously with Derek James, he's starting to get the ring IQ down. He's starting to get some of the fundamentals down more. But he's always been an athletically gifted fighter. And to me, that's what has propelled Ryan Garcia as far as he's been so far. With that being said, he also has one loss. That was to Tank Davis. He also has a no contest, and that was to Devin Haney. And you can say what you want, but in that Devin Haney fight, even though he won the decision, without those knockdowns, he loses that fight. He needed all three of those knockdowns. So for me, what would be the weaknesses for Ryan Garcia? Well, first of all, he gets too hook happy, and that was an example in the Tank fight. He was really trying to take Gervonta Tank Davis's head off, and in a result to that, he ended up getting counterpunched and knocked down. And even when he was fighting him, you could tell that he sometimes he just gets a little bit careless. He did the same thing against Luke Campbell, and Luke Campbell was able to counterpunch him. The other thing about Ryan Garcia is he lacks footwork. I did talk about his backstep, and I do love that, but sometimes he be trying to backpedal a little bit too much. In my opinion, Ryan Garcia isn't that guy to give you a 2-3 punch combination and cut an angle. He's not like a Lomachenko. He's not like a Teofimo Lopez. He's not like a Devin Haney or a Shakur Stevenson or even like a Gervonta Davis in the sense where he can circle around his opponent and he can force his opponent to make mistakes. Ryan Garcia isn't that guy. Ryan Garcia solely relies on his hand speed and his power. And to me, the footwork would be something that he can improve on. He's improving on it a tiny bit under Derek James, but I'd still count it as a weakness. The other thing about Ryan Garcia is he leaves his chin open for counters. That's been a big one. That's been the biggest one that everybody has said. I mean, you don't have to know too much about boxing to know that Ryan Garcia leaves that chin open a little bit too much. And so I will say that is probably his biggest weakness. The other thing about Ryan Garcia is he tends to struggle when it comes to inside pressure, specifically like in the clinches, or if a fighter is starting to take over on the inside, you start seeing Ryan Garcia get pushed around a lot. You start seeing him get careless. Actually, a perfect example of it is when Tank Davis knocked him out. See, he knocked him out with a body shot, and that was because Tank Davis was able to pressure him on the inside and basically force Ryan Garcia to open up his body, and then that's when he got him with the body shot and he knocked him out. So I will say that inside pressure, I do believe that is all a weakness for Ryan Garcia. And I think it's a weakness that Derek James hasn't even really touched up on yet. But we'll see if he touches it up in the Rolly Romero fight. Why do I say that? Because as much as y'all like to clown Rolly Romero, and I get it, he's a really funny guy. I get it. You can clown him for that. Nah, 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 nah. You can clown him for a bunch of things, for a bunch of things they said, for a bunch of things that he's done. I get it. He's got knocked out before. He's been on Bambi legs. I understand it all. Okay, but we gotta understand too. He got knocked out by Tank Davis, which almost everybody gets knocked out by Tank Davis. And he's got knocked out by Pitbull Cruz, who you can argue is one of the, if not the most dangerous puncher from 135 to 140. Obviously, the argument would be between him and Tank. But regardless, he's got knocked out by two power punchers. Okay, so I think that we need to start putting a little bit more respect on Rolly Romero's name because I do believe he's better than what a lot of people believe. However, I also believe he's got a lot of weaknesses that can be exploited. And we're going to get to that as of right now. So, as far as Rolly Romero, what would I say would be his biggest strength? Well, for me, I would say if I had to point to one, he does have power in both hands. Regardless of what you think about Rolly Romero, he does have power, and you have to watch out for that power. You see, the thing is with Rolly Romero is Rolly's always had power. That's the truth. Rolly has always had the ability to knock somebody's spark out. He's always had that ability to put fighters on the canvas, and he's always had that ability to basically end fights the way he wanted to. Rolly Romero is a strong fighter. I will say that right now. The other strength that he has, he's always been super relentless. Rolly will not stop. And you know what? That could be a strength and that could be a downfall. I count it more as a strength because when Rolly's relentless, Rolly can actually knock some people out. He can actually get things done and he can actually stop a fight. The other thing about Rolly is I will say I do trust him boxing in the pocket. I will say that right now. What I don't trust him with is times where he's being a little bit too patient or he's trying to set up punches and he just tries to throw a random hook or a random power shot. Those are the times I don't trust Rolly Romero. But other than that, when he's in the inside, I do trust Rolly to bang in the pocket. And then last but not least, what I will say about his strengths is I love his straights, but specifically with the right. His right straight, in my opinion, is a big tool with Rolly Romero. And obviously, he can knock you out with hooks, but I think that right straight is a punch that a lot of people are sleeping on when it comes to Rolly Romero. So, with that being said, what are the weaknesses with Rolly Romero? Well, he's got wild hooks. I will say that right now. Sometimes I see him overextending, overthrowing. It seems like he relies too much sometimes on those hooks and those power shots, and he overextends and he overreaches. And those have been the times where guys like Pitbull Cruz and Tank Davis and even Barboso. Those three guys were able to capitalize on that and knock him down. Even if you go look at his sparring videos when he got knocked out, those are the times where Rolly Romero is getting knocked out. The other instances and the other weaknesses I have with him is sometimes he tends to use some dirty tactics. I've seen like some low blows, example, a tank fight. I've seen times where he was fighting, I can't remember who, it might have been Barboso, and he's kind of like shoving his head up with his glove. I mean, overall, Rolly does have some dirty tactics, and I believe it is out of frustration. Maybe it's him trying to get into the opponent's head, or maybe it's just Rolly being the crazy person that he is. So who knows what it is, but he does have some dirty tactics I think Ryan Garcia is going to have to be aware of. Lacks footwork. I will say that right now. I don't really trust Rolly when it comes to cutting the ring or when it comes to using his footwork to kind of work around and trick opponents. I don't, to me, footwork is just not Rolly's best strong suit. I do obviously it's his power, and this is what I mean when I start talking about the strengths and the weaknesses when it comes to him and Ryan Garcia, they're very, very similar. Obviously he's very chinny, obviously if he goes up against a guy who has just as much power as him, if not more, that's when Rolly Romero really does get rocked and you start seeing a different fight. The other thing about Rolly Romero is he's not the most balanced fighter. I sometimes consider him to be a little bit flat-footed. He's not a guy that's going to trip over his own 2 feet, but at the same time, Rolly Romero is not the most graceful fighter either. And then his left hand, usually the left punch, any type of left power punch, usually that finds home. Just like with Ryan Garcia. If you notice, Ryan Garcia always got in knocked down or knocked out with a left hook or a left. Regardless, it's the same thing with Rolly Romero. He's constantly getting knocked down with that left, knocked out with that left. And I think the left is the punch that Ryan Garcia is going to have to try to use. And I think that's a punch that Rolly's going to have to try to use as well. So, with that being said, what are the keys for both of these guys winning? Well, the first question is, does Rolly Romero have a chance in this fight? And I believe he does. You see, I think what Rolly's going to have to do to win this fight when it comes to Ryan Garcia, if I had to give 3 keys to victory, which is basically if Rolly does this, he will win. I will say the first key would be counter Ryan when he throws his hook and specifically counter him with the straight. That would be the first key that I would have when it comes to Rolly Romero. The second key I would say is target the body when it opens up. You see, I would like him to target the body a lot more. We really don't see it with Rolly Romero, but I would like to see him target that body a lot more and force Ryan Garcia to second guess some things and force Ryan Garcia to back up, kind of drain Ryan Garcia's gas tank and get him into those later rounds where Rolly capitalize. And last but not least, be the aggressor in the pocket. When you are in the inside and it's you and Ryan Garcia, be the aggressor because those are the moments where you could potentially get Ryan Garcia out of there. And so I believe that if he's aggressive on the inside and he just picks his punches very, very well, you can start seeing Ryan Garcia on Bambi legs. You can start seeing Ryan Garcia get rocked. Those weaknesses are still there. No, they haven't been polished yet. I mean, like I said, we'll see in this fight. We'll see if Derek James and Ryan Garcia touched up on those weaknesses. But in my opinion, I would say when you get to the inside, make sure you take advantage. Now, what does Ryan Garcia have to do in order to secure this win and to secure his rematch against Devin Haney? Well, counter using check left hooks. Like I said, The left has always been a weakness for Rolly Romero, just like it's always been a weakness for Ryan Garcia. But I will say this: the check hooks they worked very very well against Devin Haney. I would like to see those check hooks come back, and I would like to see him use those against somebody like Rolly Romero. The other thing that I would like Ryan Garcia to do is force Rolly to open up. Whether you're moving around, whether you're confusing him, whatever the case might be, using feints for him to open up on the top or maybe open up to the body, whatever the case might be, I want to see him force Rolly to open up. And then when he opens up, attack. And then last but not least, don't let Rolly control the pace. That's the other thing too. When Rolly is controlling the pace of a fight, it's very hard to slow Rolly down. It's very hard to slow him down. And I do believe that if Ryan Garcia is going to win this fight, he's going to have to control this pace. And I think that we're going to have to see a more aggressive Ryan Garcia. Not a careless Ryan Garcia, just a more aggressive Ryan Garcia. One who's using the jab to control the range. One who is moving around Rolly Romero, tricking him. I need to see Ryan Garcia control the speed of this fight. If he wants to take his time, that's what I need to see. If he wants to speed it up, that's what I need to see. I think Ryan Garcia is going to have to control the pace of this fight and not let Rolly do that. So, with that being said, we go to the betting odds, and here's the thing, okay? Obviously, if you had to take a guess on who the favorite is, you would guess Ryan Garcia, and that is true because Ryan Garcia is a minus 1100 favorite, while Rolly Romero is a plus 660 underdog. Now, when you go to the most likely method of victory, we got Ryan Garcia by TKO/KO or DQ when you put that in there at minus 400 with the least likely outcome, besides it being a draw, it's actually tied with a draw, would be Rolly Romero by decision or points. So with all that being said, who do I got winning this fight? Do I think Ryan Garcia is going to win this fight and secure his rematch with Devin Haney? Or do I think Rolly Romero is going to shock the world and get an upset over here? Well, in my opinion, I don't see an upset. I do see a knockout. I'm gonna go Ryan Garcia by seventh round. I'm gonna go seventh round KO. See, what I think is gonna happen is I think we're gonna see Rolly get a little bit too careless, and I think we're gonna see moments of it in like the fourth or fifth round, and then I think Rolly will I think Ryan and Rolly will kind of feel each other out in the sixth. I think Ryan will get a good feel in the seventh, and I think what's gonna happen is Ryan's gonna knock him down once, Rolly will get back up. He's gonna knock down Rolly again, and then Rolly won't get back up the second time. And if I had to pick what shot he's gonna knock him out with, I think he's gonna knock out Rolly with a. I'm gonna go right straight. I'm gonna go right straight. I'm not gonna go left hook. I'm gonna go right straight. I think he's gonna knock him out with a right straight. I think Rolly's gonna try to get back up, and he's just not gonna really make it to his feet. And the ref is gonna call the fight, and Ryan Garcia is gonna win by KO. So, with that being said, I'm super excited for this fight. I mean, we're talking about an event that's gonna be in the middle of Times Square, which means the public can see it in general. It's going to be outside in Times Square. If y'all ever saw a Side Talk NYC, you know when they go, "We outside." This actually is going to be outside. So make sure y'all definitely tune into this fight. I mean, overall, again, I gotta keep saying it. Shout out to Riyadh Season. Shout out to Ring Magazine. Shout out to Turkey Al Sheikh. This is a genius idea, and I know there's rumors about them potentially having events in like Alcatraz and all these different places. I heard the Rome Coliseum is in. I would love to see them happen in all these weird places. I think this is what makes boxing so unique, and this is what I want to see from boxing. So overall, Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero, that's going to be the main event on this card. Obviously, the other two fights are going to be the co-main event, Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez, and then before that, we're going to see Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barbosa. So overall, I can't wait for all three of these fights, and it's going to be an absolute banger. So with that being said, make sure y'all continue to tune into the Puncher's Point. Make sure y'all tune into the Puncher's Point after the event is over for the post-fight breakdowns. And last but not least, make sure y'all tune into the news, the updates. Make sure y'all tune into the podcast, especially the exclusives with the Reddit reviews, the social medias. You know, we got some big things coming for that. So just make sure y'all continue to tune into the Puncher's Point. And last but not least, make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.